This painting is of Catherine van der Graaff as Hecate. And Hecate is a Greek goddess of points of transition. And she always was shown with two dogs and a torch and a bird. And the bird she has, the bird at the top of the frame, is a cuckoo. And the dogs are, she always has black dogs, and she's always shown in black. Today she's looked at as being the sort of the symbol of witchcraft, the goddess of witchcraft. But at the time, in Greek, she was considered a guide and someone that could help you when you were in trouble and you were in confusion. And she was a goddess of boundaries. So when roads changed direction, when there were two roads and you wouldn't know which way to go, there would often be a shrine of Hecate at the crossroads. So then you could pray to Hecate and you could get the decision. Hecate in ancient Greek was called Atakatra, but it almost is like Heticatron. And they think that possibly the name Catherine comes from Hecate, originally out of the ancient Greek and turned into Catherine. And the fact that her name has continued for thousands of years, and that she was responsible for crossroads, works with the theory I have about electricity and gravity and what goes on. Now, Catherine, or Hecate, is always shown with 7 rays coming out of her head, like the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is basically a statue of Hecate. And I'm giving different pronunciations because there are many pronunciations of her name. She also was the goddess over the skies and over the earth, and she was the mother of all the angels, and she would help you in time of distress. So she was an interesting character, and she was usually a house god in ancient Greece. To me, that was something. She was a positive force, not a negative force that today we're looked at as being a negative force. Catherine herself was married to Robert van der Graaff, and Robert van der Graaff invented the Van der Graaff generator. And now the Van der Graaff generator is basically like a steel ball with a belt inside that generates static electricity. And you might know the Van der Graaff generator by seeing pictures of people who, when touching the Van der Graaff generator, makes their hair stand out on end. Similar to what Hecate's hair does with the rays coming out of her forehead, or in this painting with Catherine van der Graaff having her hair standing out. There's a similarity, and I thought that was really interesting. So that is that's what how the painting got to where it is. Now, Catherine is holding the globe, the earth, but she's not actually holding the earth. If you look at her hands, she's sort of holding it like it's her hands are a little bit away, because she's actually holding the atmosphere of the earth. And the reason for that is that when we look at gravity, now this painting is based on what gravity is all about and why we have gravity. And science really doesn't understand gravity very well today. They think it's just the mass of the earth that is causing gravity, and that Earth or the mass of the earth attracts more matter, and more matter attracts more matter. But that's missing part of the equation. It doesn't work that way. If you have two pieces of steel, they don't sort of click together. They'll go to the earth at the same speed, but they won't come together. There isn't a magnetic attraction between them without them being magnets. So, but we're all holding to the earth. Our rubber, metal, everything holds to the earth. Similar to the way that static electricity draws things together. That if you have a balloon and you rub it on your shirt and you put it on the wall, it'll hold on the wall. Or if you use a Van der Graaff generator and you throw little bits of aluminum foil and things, they'll all stick to the Van der Graaff generator. And it's static electricity that is the key. When you look at the Earth we know that the Earth we have different layers in the atmosphere. And the first layer of the atmosphere, which is the troposphere, there's all kinds of clouds and moisture, and we have lightning and all the kinds of things that are happening. The static charges that build in the lower atmosphere are kept in that area, and they neutralize with lightning, and you have lightning rods and things that neutralize it. When you get above above the troposphere, you're into the stratosphere. That's much drier. When you go up higher, you get into the ionosphere, and the ionosphere is extremely dry. And there are winds that blow in the ionosphere, and that causes, for example, radio waves bounce off the troposphere. So we can basically talk to people around the world because the radio waves are bouncing off and go around the world. The troposphere is a barrier. When I looked at that, I thought, well, the Earth's surface could be acting like a Van der Graaff generator, but it didn't quite fit. There was something wrong with it. But then when I started looking at the atmosphere and what the atmosphere was doing, because you need something to generate the static electricity. In the Van der Graaff generator, you have a belt which spins, and it's this belt that creates one charge, and the other charge goes to the actual ball itself. And on the Earth, you'd have to have two different, you'd have to have a creator that would create the static electricity, but then you'd also have the kind of battery that would hold the static electricity. So if you look at the Earth as being the holder of the static electricity and the ionosphere as being the creator, then you have both sides of the generator and the battery that holds the charge.